Hello, everyone. I am Sean Finnegan,
And I'm Blair Kelly.
and I wanted to walk you through this special episode of Rewind Theater, which is of our April Fool's video for 2016, Star Wars: Fury of Maul.
Perfect. You did it right this time.
I did, yeah. Really interesting about this, Blair, is, we were big fans of Star Wars. A lot of people in the office are fans of Star Wars, but originally the concept for this was very, very different.
I think the original concept was actually something about some real scared kid in a tent, and then
Yeah.
the boogeyman comes, and there you have it.
Yeah, but what was really awesome about this is, we are all big fans of Darth Maul. We know a lot of people out there in the fandom are big fans of Darth Maul, so we want to kind of to put together what we thought would be, an awesome TV series to kind of, get fans interested in Darth Maul and, reinvigorated in sort of that prequel trilogy timeline that we don't get to see much of.
Well, and the best part of this was 45 minutes before our last meeting to get this thing going. And Sean and I, we sit down and we decide we want to go a completely different direction from the original concept and had to pitch this to our bosses, and they bought it.
Yes, they did. We shot this in one day with a cast and crew of about 17 people. These sets right here, this alleyway set, is part of the SF Armory, which is this old sort of studio production space that's here in San Francisco. Bunch of standing sets. We looked at this and we thought it was really cool. Blair, we did a lot of work to this, not the least of which are these little LED panels that you see here on the edges of the walls near the security panels.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure there was a lot of Star Warsy stuff in there.
Yeah, and it's just in Star Wars, there's definitely not door handles or anything that you would just manually open a door with, so we had to put these in. You did a lot of the work on this, but they were half practical, half CGI. We had lights on the walls that we could motion track that we built out of LEDs, but then you did all of the work on the actual paneling.
Yeah, we wanted to make them look like holographs so they kind of spark and stutter, and they're made out of particles themselves. We also wanted to make sure that there wasn't numbers 1 through 9 on there either.
Right.
So we looked up and used, gosh, I wish I could remember the name of this Galactic Empire or something or other. Our resident Star Wars guru, Frank Knight, was the one who helped us come up with this stuff.
Yeah, big shout out to Frank Knight because he was the one who was fact-checking us basically the whole time, making sure that everything we put in frame was authentic to Star Wars. And all of the people and props and sounds and shots just made sense in the timeline and, kind of made for the best authenticity. Here we get our first shot of Quinlan Vos, who is, if you're familiar with the Star Wars canon, is a Jedi who, he was a Jedi Knight, but he turned to the dark side at some point before being brought back to the light side. And we thought that would be a cool character to feature in this tale of, a man kind of who was on the dark side, but then was betrayed by the dark side, and now is just angry at everyone and is killing everyone.
And it was important to find the right one, too. We had, 4 meetings beforehand where there was a room of, 5 of us, and it was just going through all of the timelines, canon and otherwise, to figure out who that best fit person would be. We didn't want to bring somebody who didn't fit, and we settled on Quinlan Vos, and I'm glad we did because he killed it.
Absolutely. Shout out to Sal Perales, who plays Quinlan Vos. He is, one of these really, really well, he's a cosplayer who plays this character officially for, Disney and Lucasfilm in their licensed events and stuff. He's made a number of appearances as this character before, and he just super awesome guy and very killed it on set. These windows are not real windows, just wanted to point that out. You actually had a lot of rotoscoping to do. One of the really funny things that we didn't notice on set was that we blue screened these windows because we couldn't green screen them because Quinlan Vos' costume's green.
Correct.
And we made the mistake of lighting the whole room with daylight balanced lights, which if you are not a cinematographer means they are blue-ish, which caused some huge rotoscoping errors for us.
Yeah, there's nothing like coming down to sit down to do a bunch of VFX, looking at your key and realizing that the entire room is gone.
Lesson learned on set.
Right.
So what's really interesting about this is you never see Darth Maul's face up until the end, and that was by design. Originally, we kind of told this story about this hooded figure exploring a space and kind of getting the story kind of told in these Force flashbacks, the way Rey does in The Force Awakens. And it turns out that quite didn't work when we got to the edit, and so we kind of had to make a pivot and do something totally different. But I think that actually works for the reveal. If we keep moving forward here, I wanted to point out the next cool shot is, yes, this is Slave One.
Oh, man, Yusuf over from Snapchat really destroyed the shot. What an amazing guy.
Yeah, so shout out to Yusuf McCoy, one of our VFX artists and Cinema 4D / 3D compositing
Magic
extraordinaires.
VFX wizard.
Yeah, he basically built this shot from scratch. This plate with the ravine is actually part of a different movie. It's from Oblivion, the Tom Cruise sci-fi action movie. There's a shot where just a ship is kind of flying over this ravine, and I thought it looked really cool in sci-fi. We wanted to put a ship shot in this. We always knew we did from the very beginning.
Well, we also wanted to put 2 ship shots. If you rewind just a tiny little bit and you look up in the left-hand corner there, you will see a Star Destroyer that has been downed on this planet. And we wanted to connect the shot in space in that cool little sci-fi bunker room to the planet itself. And we thought the best way to do that was to show something catastrophic happening.
Absolutely.
Like a Star Destroyer landing on the planet.
And everyone loves Boba Fett, and Slave One is still like one of the most iconic ships. Like, you know, next to the Star Destroyers and the Millennium Falcons of Star Wars, like Slave One is right there. So we wanted to put that in there, and then we get our cool shot of Boba Fett, which is
not really Boba Fett. This is just a Mandalorian. We actually ended up having to use Boba Fett armor, but the idea was actually supposed to be for it just to be Mandalorians. I mean, if you follow the Son of Dathomir, you have Maul going over and laying down the law, getting an army of Mandalorians with him. And going to take revenge, and so that's kind of what we wanted to tap into with this.
You're totally right, but you're also right in saying that this is totally a Boba Fett helmet. Sharp, eagle-eyed viewers will notice the markings on the top of his helmet right there, which denote his kills. So I'm told.
Yep.
Yeah. Oops. But that's all. This is actually a shot that we picked up later after the production here in studio because we needed to fill some space with the treads. This is Alex Solomita, our resident video technician, and he did a great job. You know, we did this shot a bunch of times to get the movement absolutely right, and then again, great blaster effects by Yusuf and your whole team over there. Moving on, we get into like the thick of it. These lightsaber effects, like this hero shot right here of Sal as Quinlan Vos, is like one of my favorite shots. I love it very much. Like the lighting, that's practical coming from his blade. We took great care to make sure that all of the lightsabers and the lightsaber effects were like very true to the characters and the sounds that you hear in Star Wars. Like we went to huge lengths to make sure that every lightsaber sound matched the character and the lightsaber it was actually supposed to be from.
That was actually some of the original notes we had when we got the first version back, as we showed it to all of our Super Star Wars fans in the office, and they immediately stood up and shook their finger at us because we initially used the wrong saber sounds, and so we made sure that every single character has the exact right saber sound for their respective sabers.
Right, because especially like so many people who are fans of Star Wars will tell you like the sounds are what make Star Wars feel like a living, breathing universe. So you got to get those right, and so I think we did a really good job in that. And again, we had Frank Knight, our in-house resident expert, and Mitch Dyer, who helped me write this script, to kind of lean on in that regard and get everything right. And then our amazing sound design was actually Mike Horn, former IGN editor and VFX wizard, who is just super, super great to work with, and he just really killed it on the sound edit. Moving along, though, this is a funny shot because I don't remember shooting it.
We didn't. This was a happy accident. This was a test to see what the light looked like when it contrasted with the side.
Yeah, like we
Sean
ended
just
up
decided to roll, and we ended up using it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I even remember our associate producer CJ Gibson on set was like, "What should I label this shot?" And I looked at it and I was like, "I don't know because we did not storyboard this. I don't remember even shooting it, but whatever." And it ended up coming in handy because we wanted to connect these two lightsabers and really show the red lightsaber like prominently early on before we got to like the sort of climactic fight scene. All of these LED paneling sort of lights on the poles are not there in the set. These are things that we added. Kathleen Luvano and Kirsten Slater are amazing production design people on set. Spent a huge amount of time on production day cutting out this LED tape, lining it along the back of these poles that are these like pipes that are on set in order to really give it this sci-fi look. Because the set is like super run down, but it does not look like a sci-fi set until we made it look like a sci-fi set, and they had a lot to do with that. Moving on to these shots right here, this is where you really get into the meat of it. Like, I remember shooting these shots and thinking, oh my gosh, like this is some of the best stuff I've ever shot. Sal kills it. It comes together so well with the movement and the lightsaber effects and the deflecting of the blaster shots and then the scorch on this wall. Like, it feels so abrasive and sort of like visceral. Like, I just love it. And then that force push, man. Again, you and Yusuf really killed it on these effects.
Yeah, I'm really happy with all of our effects turned out. I think we did a really great job with all this stuff. I'm excited to see where we can take it in the next piece, actually.
Absolutely. Again, moving on with these effects, like we spent a lot of time discussing on set how we were going to do this door effect.
Another Mandalorian, actually. If you want to go back there, we wanted to make sure we got a bunch of local Mandalorian talent, too.
Yeah, so special thanks to the 501. I think that's what it's called. It's kind of like a Star Wars congregation of people who are fans and cosplayers and craftsmen who do these amazing costumes. And they were they were very helpful in getting us connected to the right people who were all volunteered to be in this. And these costumes are really amazing. They were actually really great extras too to work on set. Like, we had this woman just lay down on the floor for basically the whole day.
Yeah, and you have to help them get up and lay down too. I mean, that armor, it's not practical.
Yeah, it's not complex. You're not really all that mobile in it. It looks great, but you don't move very well.
You don't get away really.
Yeah.
You get chased.
Moving on, yeah, this door shot. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Because this is one of those things where I saw the drafts of this, but I'm not a 3D guy. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, but it was a very complex effect.
Yeah, we originally weren't sure how we wanted to do the shot. We filmed it a couple of different ways. First, we thought we were going to try to do something more practical and decided at the end we wanted to do this 3D. So we started everything off, modeled the door, as well as all the physical effects, the deformation and stuff on the door itself in Cinema 4D, as well as the outside, the door frame there as well, and the background that you see peeking outside. We then took everything back into After Effects and finished it off there. I mean, the texture was actually created in Cinema 4D as well, but that way we could light it, get all the lights and stuff right, and then make sure that everything came together in After Effects at the end.
Absolutely. I'm forgetting his last name right here, but this is Bryce. He was our featured Mandalorian. Did a great job crawling around on the floor and doing these blaster shots like right here.
7 takes.
Yeah, he did it so many times and was like just a champ, man. And he really puts to this scene right here with Quinlan Vos. He really helps Quinlan Vos get that together, and he threw himself at that wall, and it was awesome because you actually hear that thud. We amped it up a little bit in sound design, but man, did he commit to getting hit by that lightsaber and going shoulder first into that wall? It was amazing.
I love the end of that. The end of that take right there. I think that might have been the first or second take too. It was totally silent on set, obviously, and everybody was kind of hanging around Video Village and around Sean and the DP and or Sean and the gaffer, Steve Griggs, and as soon as that shot was over, there was this moment of silence before everybody on set erupted because it was just so cool.
That was, when we were blocking this shot, I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like, and I was like, let's give it a test, and it was during that test that everyone was like, wait, I think we're onto something here. That really sold it. That looks so cool, man. Moving along, this is where we really get into the meat of the the sort of the tempo of it gets really fast and abrasive and picks up with the edit along with the music. Lightsaber effects, we get this really cool execution shot that I wanted to make sure we pull off, and then we're into the fight scene. You had so much work to do because every one of these shots has a little bit of the window in it, and those are all stuff that you had to rotoscope, right? I remember being at the 11th hour and kind of getting this stuff tracked properly and stuff, but you guys did a killer job.
The best part of all of that rotoscoping is the Quinlan Vos character, he has dreads.
Yeah.
And so whenever he's flipping his hair around on the front of that screen, we had to roto out each individual strand of hair.
Which actually really, it actually brings us to the camera that we shot on. We shot 6K Red Weapon.
Oh, that was awesome.
Courtesy of Red, and specifically Nate Hart over at Red, one of their guys, really went to bat for us and got us access to their cameras, and they were very gracious in kind of getting us set up with what we needed to shoot out of the box. But having that 6K resolution really allowed us to kind of get really detailed with the effects, and especially with your rotoscoping. We just had so much resolution to work with.
Well, all the color and the light, just the latitude that you could work with for VFX. That camera was amazing. Red, please give us one.
Oh, yeah.
Because all I want to do is shoot with that camera. Oh, my goodness.
Another minor note, we shot anamorphic, which is the first time I've ever done this. It's a very special type of lens, non-spherical lens, where you're basically cutting out the middle of the sensor and stretching it over a 2x anamorphic space to get a native 2:40 aspect ratio. Beautiful image. It's what they do in the actual Star Wars movies. That's what J.J. Abrams shot, and we really wanted to go to the distance, and we owe so much to Red. We wouldn't have been able to do that without them, so I just want to make sure that everyone knows that their involvement with this because we simply couldn't have done it without them.
Speaking of which, those beautiful anamorphic lenses came from Gear and Glass over in Emeryville, California.
Yeah, they were Kova Promitars, I believe is the name. They're an old Japanese lens manufacturer. They're a set from the 70s, but they're beautiful.
Just
gorgeous,
beautiful.
yeah. Moving on, the climactic scene is this really cool little fight scene, obviously, and then we get the big reveal, which we wanted to make sure we nailed. Quinlan Vos punches him in the face, and his hood comes off, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, it's Maul, and then the dead giveaway is the secondary lightsaber, where, you know, obviously iconic to Darth Maul and the character, besides his face paint and the horns, is the dual lightsaber. Everyone loves that bit, and we wanted to make sure it was like an integral part of how we revealed that this character is not just some hooded figure or Kylo Ren or any of the voices that we heard before, but specifically Darth Maul.
Ooh, we should actually address that. With the voices in there, we really wanted to make sure that those voiceovers gave you an idea of this impending darkness and impending doom. I mean, it was never planned that any of those voices were supposed to tell you who was actually in the piece.
Exactly. This is mostly just like tracing the lineage of the villainy of Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's basically what that was. So yeah, I mean, that's basically Star Wars Fury of Maul. Like, we had a great time making it, and I thank all of you for making sure that you watched it and sharing it with your friends. Blair, thank you very much for joining me on this. If you enjoyed our April Fool's video and any of the other things that we've done regarding Star Wars and stuff, thank you so much, and we had a great time making it.
One more shout out to Steve Griggs, this is our gaffer, and helped us light everything beautifully, and thank you very much to the Armory for letting us film on your wonderful sets.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you very much. For everything else, Star Wars, IGN Originals, and awesome short films like this, you are already in the right place. IGN.